hanging. Welcome to Comedy Accounting. Is everyone excited? The optimism is riveting, I can feel it. As you can tell, some of you have been to some of our gigs before, you might be thinking there's something a bit different, and that is there's a lot of QR codes scattered about. That is because this is a fundraising gig. We are raising money on behalf of one of our members. So to explain a little more on what the fundraising is all about, I'm going to invite him onto stage. Can you please welcome Jon Lee onto stage?
So, two quick things. First of all, after I've done this, you don't have to see me again for maybe 3 minutes. You can enjoy those 3 minutes. Also, I'm going to be on later doing stand-up, and I want to reassure you I have actually learned that. I haven't learned this. So as Iestyn said, my name's Joe, and as the publicity for the gig might have told you, and also what Iestyn just said, we're doing a bit of fundraising today. So just before we start, I want to just take a minute to first of all thank Comedy for letting me fundraising this gig. It really means a lot. And I want to thank all of you for coming, which is really kind of you, and also just explain a little bit what I'm raising money for. So you might have seen on the posters and also on the QR codes that we're fundraising for Operation Wallacea, or OPWAL as it's sometimes called. Some of you might not know what that is. Operation Wallacea is a climate change and biodiversity research organisation. Having said I haven't known this, I'm not looking at it very much. It's been running for 25 years and has bases and programs all over the world. OPWAL relies on teams of student volunteers who join expeditions to work on wildlife and habitat surveys alongside academic researchers. And these kind of student expeditions have done really amazing things in the past, like they might have contributed to scientific papers, or they might have discovered whole new species of animals, which is pretty crazy. So in June 2023, I hope to be one of those student volunteers. I've booked to go out to the Calakmul Biosphere Reserve in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico as an OPWAL research assistant. I'll be taking part in a 2-week terrestrial expedition in the rainforest, and this rainforest was inhabited by the Mayan civilization 1,000 years ago, and it's currently the largest protected area of rainforest in Mexico. Along with a team of other student volunteers from all over the world, I'll be helping professionals in the field conduct biodiversity surveys, taking stock of animal populations to help OPWAL preserve the ecosystem. The main threats to the reserve where I'm going are climate change-induced droughts. In recent years, the CBR has suffered a serious decrease in rainfall, which causes all kinds of problems. And Operation Wallacea aims to understand these changes more completely and help provide new water sources. And obviously, as I'm sure I don't need to explain, this work is hugely important. The Biosphere Reserve is not only supports one of the highest levels of biodiversity on the planet, it's also a vital wildlife corridor for animals to travel around and migrate. So I'll be helping OPWAL gather information about the place of each species in the reserve, how they adapt, and how the changing climate and landscape affects them. In order to be part of this work, here we've come down to brass tacks, I need to raise £1,275. That money will be used to pay for my place on the expedition, but I'm going to cover the costs of my travel and accommodation. That said, if you'd like to help me raise enough money to afford business class flights and a 4-star hotel, don't let me stop you. If you feel that generous. You can donate at any time during tonight. You can scan the QR codes, I've got them all around the room. And I've also got a nifty little box down here at the front. If you'd rather donate cash, you can come and give it to me in the interval. And I never thought I'd be the kind of guy who says, check out my GoFundMe. If you scan the QR code, that's exactly what you'll be able to do. So anything you can give will be hugely appreciated. Of course, I'm not expecting people to dig. Obviously, if you can donate a little bit, I'd really, really appreciate it. So I'd just like to wrap up by thanking you all for coming again, and also once again thanking Comedy. It does mean a lot, guys, for letting me do this. So yeah, like I said, I'll be back in 3 minutes, but now I'll hand over to the actually funny bit of the show. So thank you very much. Let me hand you back to your Compere. Yes,
as he said, scan the QR codes, we can send Joe to Mexico to run some drugs. I mean, sorry. No, right, let's get into it. So, it's nice to see lovely audience here this evening. It's good. Hello, sir. Nice to meet you. What's your name? No, nice to meet you. It looks like you've just come off the plane. How are you preparing for the future?
I'm preparing for the future.
Yeah.
Working hard.
Working hard. That's a good idea. Hello? How are you going for the future? You're not. That's the right thing to do, because you never know what the future's going to throw at you, so not preparing is the best thing to do. No. Thing is, work on the streets is the future's going to be hot. That's what's going to happen. So I think there's a couple ways, I figured 2 ways you can really prepare for the future. If you can handle the heat but you can't handle the UV, stock up on sun cream. Fill the bath, roll out the keg, buy sun cream, get it, because it's going to be hot. If you can handle the UV but you can't handle the heat, put a mortgage on an igloo. It's cool, it's fine. My plan is to double down on both, because obviously the future's going to be hot, but it's obviously pretty much a challenge, because it's hard to get a hold of igloos these days, because obviously cost of living crisis, and it's a struggle as well to get a hold of sun cream, because it's that time of year where like ginger people start panicking, you know. It's like you can see them instantly opening the curtains in the morning thinking, this might be the day, this might be it. But no, the future's going to be hot. According to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, by 2100 the world will have warmed up by a whopping 2 degrees. 2 degrees. Now, not underplaying 2 degrees, I'm not saying it's, you know, a good thing. 2 degrees is quite a disaster. But it's hard to convince people that 2 degrees is a problem, because, and I don't know if anyone else has clocked this, but about 70% of the global population is thick. Thick is big shit. Even people who you didn't think were thick are thick. I discovered over Christmas that my mum's thick. Right, and that's thick with a K. I know I'm Welsh, unless we shoot about it. Come on now. No, I discovered she was thick because it was doing a game of Articulate. She thought that Greek philosopher, cosmologist, mathematician Plato was Mickey Mouse's dog. So that's that. And I know you think, oh, it's a generational thing, Iestyn. Your mum's 50, I said, oh, my mum's 50. Christ, I've got one. But no, my mum, you know, so you think, oh, it's a generational thing, it's fine. But it's not, because I've got a flatmate. She studies physics. You think physics students would be smart? No, sir, no. She's so thick, she transcends logic. I've never seen anything like it, right? This is a genuine thing. She thought the Great Gatsby was a horse. Where do you start with that? You know, where's that idea come from? You know, this is a genuine quote from her as well. She went, I didn't know Jesus did miracles. I thought he was just Jesus. What does that mean? Where did that come from, you know? So that's the problem. There's a lot of thick people in the world, and some of them might be in the room. But not looking at everyone in particular. But no, it's difficult, you know, because you know, a lot of thick people. So when it comes to the whole 2 degrees argument, you know, 2 degrees is going to end the world. Thick people think that 2 degrees is the difference between blowing once and blowing twice to cool off your red brack, right? People don't seem to realise that 2 degrees on a macro scale is the difference between commuting to work on a bus and commuting to work on a barge, you know? But I'm trying to be, you know, we can't be too pessimistic, obviously, you know, there's a lot of thick people out there, there's a lot of clever people. A lot of clever people working for climate change, trying to prevent climate change, slow it down. So I think we're in good hands. And even if we're not in good hands, even if, you know, the clever people lose the war to the thick people and the, you know, the sea level rise to about like 40 feet, I don't think anyone would mind if Newcastle fell into the ocean. You know, every cloud has a silver lining. Yes, so that's that. But yeah, but it's quite interesting with climate change organisations, because you can tell they have to. They're working towards the thick people. They're trying to persuade the thick people that's a problem, you know. They don't do it to, if it was directed, if their adverts were towards clever people, their adverts would be a bloke just going, we're gonna die! But it's not. Instead, it's like Olivia Colman against a black backdrop going, think of the polar bears. Fucking polar bears. You say the yellow. What's your opinion on polar bears? Pretty cool, okay. In the blue jumper, t-shirt. What opinions on polar bears?
Do I want to meet one?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, personally, polar bears are shit. Polar bears are crap. Polar bears are placed on this planet to trauma bait us into watching David Attenborough documentaries. Right? Not once have I ever heard David just go, and here we see the polar bears. Oh, Aren't they having a lovely day? You've never heard that in your life. And do you know why? Because they live on the most arid wasteland on the planet. They were fucked before they started to melt. And they even eat shit. They eat seals, right? Seals are amphibious. Bears are not. Bears are not. Watching a bear chase a seal is like watching Susan Boyle chasing after Michael Phelps. It's like, it's not going to work, right? I think, basically, polar bears is God's idea of a sex joke. That's what I think. And the problem we've got is that scientists know this. They know that the polar bears were destined for extinction, but they can't say that. Because if they were to go, oh yeah, polar bears are meant to die, all the thick people would be onto the cause like a flight of shit. Onto it. They will be signing every petition that comes up on their Facebook page that says kill the bears. There will be fleets of ships going to Antarctica loaded with hairdryers and farts so the thick people could jump onto the shore and just melt it off the globe. And all the scientists are going to be in their labs just going, no! Polar bears don't live in Antarctica. They live in the North Pole. You bunch of thickos! However, if the sea level did end up doing that, I think the average global IQ would benefit from rising sea levels, as the entire cast of Geordie Shore would go Costa Concordia style into the North Sea. And with that dazzling image, we go on to our third act of the evening. Is everyone excited? Hey, hot stuff. Right, so first act of the evening, it is an improv game. It is called Party Quirks, and it is going to involve Joe and Charlotte and Felicity and Josh. So welcome on stage. Right, so this is Party Quirks. How it's going to work is Joe is going to be hosting a party. Josh, Charlotte and Felicity are going to be guests at said party, but each of the guests are going to have a little quirk about them, and you're going to suggest the quirks for me. And then what's going to happen then is it'll be Joe's job to guess what the quirks are. So, before we kick anything off, Joe, can you do me a favour and fuck off? Always, dear. Thank you. So, now that Joe's out of the room, I won't talk into this. So, we need some quirks, some weird stuff about each of these characters. So can I have a quirk for Felicity, please? Shout it out. Nazi. Nazi. Good quirks. Concepts of Nazi. What was that? Communist. Naturally. Right. Anyone who's seen Liberal Democrats? Flat Earther. Interesting. Has to speak in rhyme. I like God, okay, yes, okay. Right. Can we have a quirk for Charlotte, please? Reading for feet. Reading for feet. You're reading for feet. I didn't know we could autobiographical, but we are. Quirk for Josh, please.
A mime whose shit is job.
A shit mime. Yeah, I like that. Can you do a shit mime? Awesome. Not mine shit mime. Good on it. Right, okay, so now we're going to have to get Joe back in the room. It's gone off. Right, okay. We're going to get Joe back in the room to do that. We're going to need all of your help. So, after three, everyone just go, Joe, come here. Right? So, right, 1, 2, 3. Joe! Come here! Is he coming? Is he coming? Oh, thank goodness. Finally, the first annual summit of the British Society for the Protection of Monotremes, which are egg-laying mammals, full marks. Okay, so then we've got all the hard-boiled eggs. Cool. Oh shit! Right. Hello, come on in. Hi.
I want to get pie myself. Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
hi, yes, hi. How are you?
Good, thanks. And how are you?
I'm very excited. I'm uncomfortable. Would you like a drink?
I'd love a drink, yeah. What have you got?
Well, what would you like?
Got some wine?
Yes, I have.
Fantastic.
There you are. Okay. So, what's your interest in monotremes?
In what, sorry?
Egg-laying mammals.
Egg-laying mammals.
Did you know that echidnas' penises have 5 heads?
That's more penises than I needed to know about.
Okay, right. I happen to... Are you alright?
Yeah, sorry.
You seem to have a... Do you have 2 lazy eyes? That looks quite inconvenient.
My eyes know exactly where they're
I mean, thank you, but also, yeah. Okay, so, is it something that I'm wearing that you're interested in?
I'd really like to take them off, but...
Look, this is the first annual social, okay? This is like, you know, maybe you give it 3 annual socials, and then maybe you give it, you know.
So you're being clean at the moment?
Yes, why don't you just go as far away as you can? Hi!
Yo, Jon!
Oh,
Nice to see you, bro.
So, did you know platypuses express milk through their pores? They don't have nipples, they just eat the milk. Did you know that?
I did not. I'm so shocked. I need to go have a shot.
I really don't tread on any other guests. Right. So, are you alright? Are you feeling well?
Is there any way I can have some tea?
Some tea? Yes, I'd like it.
Before I don't have my tea?
Right. So, I don't mean to sound needy, you were very friendly when you came in. Was that anything to do with you as a person?
It may well be, but we'll have to see.
Oh, okay. Are you compulsively rhyming things? Yes.
Have a good party, hope you have lots to do.
Well, I am now, since you pissed off into a boiled kettle. Right, so there's something of mine that you want.
I don't really want them. I'd like to see them. Maybe lick them.
It's got nothing to do with my trousers, does it?
No.
Thank God for that. Okay.
I never know.
Below or beneath?
Either will do.
Okay. Oh, hello. Another guest. Again, far away as possible, please. Hi. The first time a platypus was discovered, people thought it was a beaver stitched onto a duck's face. Did you know that? Alright. And you are mine. Are you a shit mine? I didn't mean it, you're quite good. Right. Okay, I have a bad feeling you're a foot fetishist. Well, that was a success. Right, now we are going on to our first stand-up act of the evening. So, give him a warm welcome. He's the Capital Crusader himself. It's Tristan Selby!
Hello. Oh, I'll do stand-up tonight, but looking around the room, I'm a bit concerned actually. Seems like none of you know how to get dressed properly. You there, where is your hat?
I'm not cool enough to wear a hat.
You're not cool enough to wear a hat? That's so sad, but don't worry. I'm going to make you cool enough. I'm going to make everyone in this room cool enough to wear a hat. That's our mission tonight. I'm going to bring you the beginner's guide to hats. The guide that you've all needed all your lives. Because it can be daunting, I know it can be daunting, but with just a few simple steps, anyone can become a true hat wearer. Okay, so the first rule of hat wearing is that you must never take your hat off, ever, under any circumstances, because when you become associated with a hat, it is part of your image forever. Like, someone who went to an event one time that they thought would be a bit posher than it was and wore a bow tie is now known as the bow tie guy by everyone for the rest of time. It's maybe a tricky requirement, never taking off your hat, but for inspiration, we can turn some of the great hat-wearing icons of the world, like the Statue of Liberty. Does she ever take her hat off? Exactly. Rule number 2, if you see someone in the street or anywhere who's not wearing a hat, stare at them menacingly. They won't know why. They'll feel confused and a little bit scared. But one day, they probably just have their own called wear a hat, and then don't stare at them menacingly. Maybe you can smile at them, be polite. They still won't know why, and they'll still find it unsettling. But, like Pavlov's dog, they will have been trained to associate wearing a hat with not being stared at menacingly, and so they will have been indoctrinated into the hat cult. Congratulations. Rule number 3. You must position yourself as the ultimate authority on all headwear-related matters. If anyone has a question about a hat, they need to come to you. For example, they might say, is a helmet a hat? Or, if I put a duck on my head, is that a hat? Or maybe, if I stand on me tippy toes so my head touches the ceiling, am I wearing the entire second floor of this building as a hat? To which you must of course reply, no! Of course not! And yes. Rule number 4, it is a competition. If you see someone else who is wearing a better hat than you, that's a serious threat. Okay? You've got to take this out, because you could become known as only the second or third best hat wearer in town, but that's barely much better than being the best non-hat wearer in town. So, the only solution is fire! Set fire to their hat, especially if they're still wearing it. Rule number 5, most important rule of all. You will always be inferior at hat wearing to me personally. No matter how proficient you become at wearing hats, how much knowledge you have, how good your hat is, how experienced you are, there will always be someone out there who is one step ahead of you, better at this than you, more knowledgeable than you, and I will also be out there too. So that's the theory, but fortunately I've come prepared with my hat bag, never going without it, and we're going to put this into practice, because you don't have to be bound to just one hat. I mean, obviously the relationship between a person and their most precious hat is a special one, like the relationship between someone and their pet, or their sibling, or their favourite flavour of Pringles. But you can have another hat. So this hat today that I'm wearing is a good everyday hat. It's suave, it's jazzy, it's stylish, you know. No one can quite tell if it's waterproof or not, which makes it mysterious. But you can trade it out, like so. Ta-da! This is what is known as the bee's knees. I like the phrase the bee's knees. It can't be the bee's knees, since bees are not beyond the need for knees. It's a top hat, but it's red. They don't usually come in red. This is therefore an excellent tool with which to bamboozle your enemies. For example, last time there was an election on, I went to the polling station in this hat, saw various party representatives there. They eyed me up. First there was the Tory representative. He thought, top hat. Maybe this person is going to vote Conservative, because top hats are famously a covert greeting signal of the old Etonian elite, like a secret handshake. If you see someone out in the world wearing an ordinary top hat, there is a 10% chance that they may in fact be Boris Johnson. But it was in the colours of his enemy. He couldn't be sure. I had bamboozled him. Then the Labour representative red hat, top hat. What's going on here? Maybe I was one of those elusive floating voters who can only be won over by politicians who abandon their principles. Pretty sure of this. Had bamboozled her as well. Liberal Democrat just sort of stared at me in mild confusion. Probably as glad to be allowed to be there in the first place. This is not the only weapon in your hat arsenal. Another great one is the beret! Oh yes, the beret. Now, the most obvious use for a beret is that you can use it to disguise yourself as a French person. It has the advantage over other disguises for French people, you know. You carry the baguette around approach, it has the advantage over that because it is reusable. In my experience, if you carry the same baguette around with you every day, it starts to get moldy and people look at you weirdly. It also has the advantage over the wear onions around your neck approach, because it turns out French people don't actually do that, except on special occasions, like revolutions. Another good use for a beret is that you can use it to infiltrate the British Army. They wear berets in the British Army. This makes sense because the beret is reliable, practical and fashionable. All things that the British Army is not. But, this is not the most deadly weapon that you'll have, okay? I'm going to let you in on the biggest secret, the most advanced part of the hat-wearing masterpiece. When you really, really need to defeat your enemies, and this does come with a content warning, so if there are any children in the room, go away. The final thing that you can resort to is nudity! That's right! You expose the top of your head and your enemies will cower in fear and avert their eyes, and you will have time to make your escape or steal something or give them a little hit. Surprise is the ultimate weapon that any hat wearer has on their side, and sometimes the most surprising thing you can do is not wear a hat.
Talking into a broken microphone. Yeah, no, we're fine. Okay, this is fine. Right, so next up, I'm still going to talk about next up, we have got another game. It is superheroes. And for this, I am going to require Felicity and Charlotte and Joe. So I can all Right, so, how does it work? Yes! You turn the mic off. Oh, news. Right, okay, so, this is superheroes. What's going to happen is, you lot are going to suggest some superhero names for us. We are going to list them down. One of those superheroes is going to be assigned to Charlotte. Charlotte is then going to have to solve a crisis. She won't be able to, spoiler alert. So she's then going to have to call the help of Joe, who will then have to call the help of Felicity. So, and then they're going to just have to solve the crisis together. So, can we start with, just throw out some superhero names for me. Anything under the sun, doesn't have to be a real superhero. Could be Combine Harvester Man for all I know. Throw anything. Procrastination Man, that's a good one.
Your mum.
My mum. That's alright. Okay. Anything else? Coachella Man, that's a good one. Weatherspoon Man. Anything else? Anything weirder?
4-minute Man.
4-minute Man. That is every man. I wouldn't know though, I wouldn't know. Anything else? Anything else? What have we got? Anything? Knife Man. Creative. What was that? Murder Man. Good. Right, okay. We'll go with those. We've got a comprehensive list there. Right, so now can I have a crisis for these guys to be solving? Any crisis at all? Sorry.
So for the purposes of this, yes, it's is English. Oh my god, photo! Oh my god, oh my god.
minute, man!
Alright, I don't have long, what's the problem? Jesus Christ, I haven't seen anything so horrible in my life. Okay, right, okay. 3 minutes and 55 seconds. Okay, right. What happened? Tell me what happened. Exactly.
I don't know, I just watched it and he just spoke for the fucking easy combusted.
Oh, that's a tricky one. Okay, is he a naturally flammable breed of dog, like a mastiff?
I don't fucking know.
They go up like flash paper, mate. Serious. Okay, oh Jesus Christ. Right, okay. Right. You sent me down on fire so we can get a blanket.
Oh, yeah, loads of them. Oh, but they're just, you know, they're still on the hand.
Oh, shit.
I haven't shaved them yet.
You cannot chew with
Because my
fire.
son keeps fucking them, so it's
Okay, so, oh God, oh Jesus, okay, calm down, remember the breathing exercises. Seriously, I've got nothing, right, we need someone else in. Sue, who can help?
Who's that? Oh my god, it's fucking Lenspoon's woman.
Oh God. I know this might be quite a usual sight where you hang out. That's some lovely crockery. Over there.
the dog's on fire.
Yeah, no. She's got always brought liquid with her.
Not sure you want this.
Is it flammable Budweiser? Well, it's not even alcoholic, forget it. Well,
That seems so angry.
Right, okay, oh Jesus Christ. Right, okay, nobody panic. Don't panic!
Why are you pushing your Basic. What was I supposed to do that for? I didn't know, you just tried me here.
In fairness, we
I've travelled so far, my fucking accent's changing.
I have 1 minute and 55 seconds. Okay. Right, so no fighting, we just can't make blankets because the sheep are too fuckable. That's everything. Right.
Right, can't make most of the situation.
You might have to. Okay.
Do you know what? Look, right. We don't have Weatherspoons here in Anglesey. Yeah, they haven't come across yet. But there is a lovely close just down the right way. Daffy will help you out.
What you want to go for?
Look to the outside.
Download Weatherspoons, it's a really useful app. Right. Ah, shit! Right. Okay, that didn't work. He's not moving much, is he?
I don't know what to do. No, our family are here. Not today a week, but you know
Is he
my
still at
son.
uni?
He is at uni, and all he do is make a bad joke of it. And I just...
The roast was a few weeks ago, Charlotte. Right, okay. There's only one thing left to do.
What's that?
This is dangerous.
Yeah.
It's that time. Sorry.
No! No! 4 minutes, man! You're the longest man I've ever had!
Right. Next up, we have a sketch written by a member of our society. It's a wonderful sketch, I hope you enjoy it, and it's going to involve Joe and Josh. So welcome everybody.
Hello. This is a public service announcement from the NHS. At a time like this, when the NHS is under unprecedented strain, many people are wondering, how can I help? Well, I'm here to tell you there's something you can do today. If you wish to support the NHS, then go online, book an appointment, visit your local clinic, and give piss. There are over 150 piss donation clinics across England, with more on the way. We always need more piss. Whatever your piss type, P positive, or P negative. Your help is invaluable, especially if you have a rare piss type. Every time I click my fingers, someone somewhere in the world dies because health services do not have enough piss to make transfusion. So, if you want to save a life today, then go online and register at www.givepiss.org.uk. That's www.givepiss with 2 S's.org.uk. I'm Parker Presley on behalf of the British Yellow Cross. We are literally taking the piss. Right, that's right. Oh, brilliant.
Hey, excuse me, what clinic is it?
Oh, this is the piss donation clinic.
Oh, wrong place. I'm looking for the shit donation clinic.
Right, that way, you can please. Next act of the evening is called The Break. So, what The Break is going to involve is all of you participating in either chatting with one another, going to the bar, or taking a shit. So yeah, we're going to take a break for a quick 10-minute break. While we're in that break, there is a cup full of papers on that table there. So what we are asking for is you write stuff on that paper. It can be anything under the sun, it can be names, it can be phrases, it can be places, it can be anything. Write it down, put it back in the cup, and then we will be using your suggestions in the next improv game. So that's going on there, so yes. So papers are there, card is there, toilet is there, and we'll see you in 10 minutes. How's it going? Did everyone have a good break? Yeah. Did everyone have it nice, popped up with their drinks? Yeah. Someone had a poo. Someone did loads of averages, someone had a poo. And I can tell who as well. They're looking a little less red in the face. Anyways, here we are. We're back. Nice to see that a lot of you having that. Surprising. But no, yes, just a reminder, QR codes are still knocking about, so do take the time to donate if you have any funds available for it, because we're raising money for not only for Joe, but we're raising money for conservation in general this evening. I like conservation, I think it's good. Conservation is a good thing. Although I do feel on occasion that some conservation organisations are a bit misled. That's not saying that Operation Sea is misled. That'd be shit if I just came up here and just go, oh, we're raising money for Operation Sea. It's fucking shite. I'm not saying that. That's good. I'm thinking it's on a more governmental level, it's a bit crap. Because, you know, for example, right, bees. Bees, cornerstone of the natural world, you know, the entire ecology of the planet on their shoulders, and their numbers are depleting at a rate of knots. And nobody's doing anything about it. The Chinese government put £200 million per annum into panda conservation. Fucking panda conservation. Like, I wouldn't mind if pandas like were pollinators or something, but like, what the fuck does a panda do? Do you know what a panda does?
We earn money from that.
Sorry?
We earn money because of panda. You guys love that, right?
You
pay for that anyway.
I've just been cancelled. I think despite being cancelled, I've got some jokes on pandas and how pathetic they are. So would you mind if I carried on? No, shut the fuck up. Cool, thank you. So, pandas, right? They're shit. They do nothing. I hate pandas. Pandas are a waste of time. They don't do anything. We're putting money into them. They don't do anything, do they? You know, I can think of one good use for a panda. That's a rug. That's all I can think.
Because the thing is, they're raising like, £200 million per annum, and it's just like, it's interesting, pandas are kind of like genetically suicidal, like the polar bears, but rather than like living in a place that's colder than Victoria Beckham's demeanour, they just refuse to procreate, They cannot shag, they don't shag, they refuse to, right? I think if we're trying to resurrect an animal, and they refuse to fuck, what's the point? You know what I mean? We'd have a better chance trying to resurrect Gary Glitter's career than we would have found. Okay, that's the plan. Okay. Yeah, we'll put up a direct line after the show that you can call anything that was upsetting. It's a premium number. But no, yeah, so there's that, so that's kind of a bit shit, arguably, debatably. Then there's also Britain also has a kind of a crap kind of conservation thing about them. It's not crap, it's just a bit weird, because rather than like saving the animals that live here, we're just kind of like, oh, let's introduce new animals, because like in 2019 we introduced a beaver to the UK. So just a fun fact, if you're ever on a walk in the Scottish Highlands, do keep an eye out, you might spot a beaver, and if you're lucky, you might find a clitoris. So we also introduced bison as well, that was another thing, and it's kind of interesting. What animals would you like to see in Britain? What would you like to see? Shut them out, give us a... Polar bear. Yeah, I'm with you there. I'd introduce the polar bear. I think introducing the polar bear would be a good idea, because you would get them out of the North Pole, first of all, you give them a chance, so they can, like, rather than having to hunt seals, they can hunt, like, I don't know, missing children or something like that. So there's that. And then I can just imagine, it would also make a night out more fun, When you're on a night out, you're pissed, you're hanging out your ass, and you just come across like a trail of Coke bottles and glacier mints going down an alleyway. And you're just kind of wanting to see what's going on down there, and you look and you get at the face of the mouth of the alley, and there it is, and there's a big trail of mints going into a refrigerated lorry, and there's 2 National Trust workers just dead on the floor. And then you're thinking, what the hell happened here? And then you hear a little noise behind you, and you look out, and it's there, and it's like 9 feet tall, magnificent white beast there, and it mauls you to an inch of your life. It's not funny, it's not fun, but it's a story, Getting mauled by a bear, it's an icebreaker, it's great. And also, I always don't know if that's a shit pun. But then also, you've got the option as well, like David Attenborough finds it easy, because if polar bears were in Britain, David wouldn't have to fly 12 hours to the North Pole to film the polar bears in an arid wasteland. Because all he'd have to do instead is hop in a van, drive up the M1, and he'd be in Newcastle in no time. It's a win. So, with that absolute disaster over, let's go into our first act of the second half. That is Whose Line. It is going to involve Felicity and Tristan and your pot of names, or words, or suggestions. So, right, so how Whose Line's going to work is the guys have got all your suggestions pocketed. We are going to give them a location, and then from there they are going to make a team using your suggestions. So, can I have a location please for these people to be in? Slough, good one, good. Any advances on Slough? No Pole, any advances no Pole? What was that? Birmingham. Any advances, any North Pole in English places? Mordor, an enthusiastic Mordor back there. Right, okay, you are in Slough. You're in Slough. Take it away.
Oh my God! What happened? How did we get here?
I've got absolutely no idea. The last thing I remember is a 12-inch pizza. 12-inch pizza. I knew I got the wrong mushrooms on.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is we're on a band trip right now.
We're definitely on a bad
That
trip.
makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense.
Right. What should we do while we're here? Should we make the most of it?
What is there to do in Slough? Actually, I have an idea.
Oh yeah. Go for it.
Yeah. You could. Susan Boyle is the kind of woman to have the clap. And just slough thoughts. Can we just cut this out?
That's very interesting point you raised.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to go visit her when I know that better.
That's true.
Whilst we're here, I'm thinking I might piss puppets. I mean, we could do that.
How do we do that?
I think that's how she got it in the first place, though. That's my
Yeah. Well, it will be fun though. It's perfect high activity, really. Yeah. Right. Well, I'm thinking, what could we puppeteer?
Oh, what could we puppeteer?
Yeah.
Well, we could always puppeteer. My milkers!
Delightful. I have a better idea though.
Yeah.
We puppeteer Boris Johnson must resign. This is the scandal that we finally bring him down after all the other scandals didn't. The piss puppet scandal.
I think this could be it, you know.
Yes. Okay, so we need to get out of Slough and to where Boris Johnson is.
How are we going to get out of Slough?
Okay, transport. We need transport. Right, transport. We are going to use Tristan and Iestyn coitus. Yeah. So
I don't believe that would be a very long journey. I recommend something a little bit sturdier. I think instead, well, you see, my Welland is the size of St Paul's Cathedral.
I reckon that's half the way just in itself, really.
It could. You know, and with that size, you know, it'd be a nice journey. You'd have a lot of room.
I suppose.
What should we do once we've met Boris Johnson? How do we make him resign, do you think?
Okay, so we go on the news.
Yeah.
Right, we go on BBC News, we get Laura Kingsbury out of the way, and we say to them, Martin Jones's massive penis.
Is Martin Jones here? That means we know it works! Successful operation at last!
Brilliant. Just one more on this plan. More is Big Chungus. Now, Big Chungus, have you?
We haven't. I was hoping that we could overcome that issue using your mum.
Always reliable. No, she's too busy.
Too busy? What's she doing?
Well, she's up to MILFs.
Outstanding. Right, we are now moving to our next act of the second half, and that will be another sketch written by the Society. So, let me introduce Josh and Charlotte, aka Mary and Joseph.
Magic of the theatre.
Oh Lord, we are grateful. What a joyous day this is, for us and all of Bethlehem. A star is born. Right, what do we want to call him then?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, come on!
What?
We've been 50 miles on that sodding donkey and you haven't thought of a name?
You've been 50 miles on that side, donkey. I've been leading. I don't know. Matthias?
Matthias? That name might be popular in 10 BC, but to hell with it. Let's just look online. Popular baby names 00 AD. Okay. Lazarus.
Oh, no, everybody's naming the same Lazarus these days. We want something with the facts.
Okay, fine. Zacharias?
Zacharias? No way, were you born in a bar?
I was, actually. So we had in Nazareth.
Oh, whatever, keep scrolling.
Fine. Ah! Nimrod! We'll call him Nimrod.
Nimrod? There's no way we're naming our kid Nimrod. That's inviting him to be bullied. So he crucified in school.
For God's sake, Joseph, I'm trying my fucking best here, alright?
To fuck up our son's life?
If you're so smart, why don't you have a look? There's only about 20 of the names in existence anyway. If you can find a name better than Nimrod, be my guest.
There is no way I'm naming my son Nimrod.
Well, that's good then. Because guess what? You're not his father anyway!
What did you just say?
You heard me. You're not the father.
Sorry, Joseph.
God. How?
IVF, mate.
It's that baby King Ed wanted killed!
Get him!
Didn't realise there's been someone good smiting.
Jesus Christ.
That'll do it. Jesus Christ.
Fuck. What will his middle name be?
And there we are! That was exactly form. That was that. Right, we are now going into our last standard track of the evening. It is going to be a good one. I hope you enjoy it. It is, so yes, welcome to the stage, Jon Lee! Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you again, Iestyn, for putting those chairs away, because I'll stand up, not sit down. I didn't even like that. So, thanks very much, everyone. I've got a question for you tonight I'd like to ask. Miss Jones, now I'm not going to humiliate you anymore, so trust me, I'm not going to do that. Let's see, you there, so what's your name?
Jason.
Jason, nice to meet you, Jason. I've got a question for you, Jason. To be, or, yes, not to be, your choice.
No, not to be.
Not to be.
Yeah.
Okay, look, could someone buy this chap a drink later? Sounds like it would go some way to cheer him up, but I'll do my best, okay? Right, I'll do my best to make you feel better. To be or not to be, of course, is a line from the classic tragedy, The Lion King, written by William Shakespeare, of course. Who here remembers studying Shakespeare in school? Put your hands up. Yeah, most of you, I thought so. You then at the back under the dartboard. What's your name?
Joe.
Joe? Wow, so am I. What a small world we live in, Joe. Did you enjoy studying Shakespeare in school? And just to be clear, this isn't an intervention. I'm not about to bring out your old English teacher. I'm just curious. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
You did? Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because there's this perception, isn't there, that Shakespeare is this really highbrow art form that only posh intellectuals can deal with. And just look at Joe, that's clearly not true. But the thing is that sometimes that perception just gets in the way. Like, how's this? In 2010, the Royal Shakespeare Company redeveloped their main theatre space, and now my grandpa, who is a very passionate Shakespearean, refuses to go there because he thinks it looks too modern. Could you get more first world problem than that? But also, if my grandpa doesn't like the Royal Shakespeare Theatre because of the customer service experience, what does he think was going on back in Shakespeare's day? I'd like to take you all on a little trip back in time. Like, you know how it feels when you drive through Preston? Everyone from Preston in tonight? Yeah. The laugh told me everything. So, cut back to Elizabethan London.
The Rose Theatre, where most of Shakespeare's plays debuted, was built between two brothels. That's genuinely true. Imagine that. After a performance, you walk 10 steps, you can get laid. You then, mate. After this is over, would you all go to County Laundrette for a quick shag? You said you wouldn't tell anyone. So, there's that. Also, back in Shakespeare's day, I know this sounds unbelievable, you could get a pint in a theatre without having to remortgage your fucking house. So the entire audience is drunk, much like they are tonight. Add into that little mix the fact that when Shakespeare was writing, English people genuinely hated the French. And I don't mean like Eurovision hate, I mean hate. So when Henry V comes out on stage and starts talking about how the English are going to twat the French, the audience starts screaming for blood like crowds at a Trump rally. So that's a Shakespearean audience. Horny, pissed and xenophobic. Maybe my grandpa would fit in. However, despite those humble beginnings, Shakespeare's plays are still inspiring people nearly 500 years after they were written. And I don't think that's very surprising. Because some of the things he created are pretty wild, right? Some of the best insults ever written were written by Shakespeare. Here's an example. In one of the plays, there's a character called Sir John Falstaff, and he's arguing with this woman, and he says, "You are an otter." Shakespeare also invented the mic drop, incidentally. But he follows that up with, "She's neither fish nor flesh, and man knows not where to have her." If you know what I mean. Now, gentlemen in the room, I don't want to speak for all of you, I've never shagged an otter. But I imagine it's pretty obvious. Hey, look, your business is your business. Yeah, I'm not going to ask you to bear this out for me, but in my opinion, when you shag an otter, it's pretty obvious where everything's supposed to go. You're like wanking into a massive wet sock. Am I right, sir? No. We've already outed someone too much tonight. Let's get back on track. I love Falstaff. Falstaff is my favourite Shakespeare character. He's this big, fat, heavy-drinking old knight who's somehow got this really cruel position, even though he's a coward and obsessed with himself. He steals, lies, shags prostitutes, but no one minds. He's a great laugh, and he's a good friend to the people he's close to. Hang on a minute, sorry, that's not Falstaff, that's Boris Johnson. Another reason why I'm a fan of Falstaff is because he's at the centre of a really weird bit of cultural history. Some of you might remember this. A few years ago, when Disney tried to do something a bit different with Star Wars The Last Jedi, and then the fans bullied them into taking it all back in Rise of Skywalker, yeah? Falstaff was the first time that ever happened. For some context, Falstaff appears in Henry IV, parts 1 and 2, and then it's talked about in Henry V, but he dies off stage, something that Boris Johnson doesn't have the decency to do. And the fans were furious. There was this genuine public outcry about the death of Falstaff. Imagine what that was like. Some teenage Tudor kid comes home and his mother's like, "Did you enjoy the play, darling?" "No, wait till read it, here's about this." Storms up to his room, grabs a quill pen, OMG, just seen the latest SCU play, that's Shakespeare's Cinematic Universe. Mega spoilers, Falstaff dies with 13 exclamation marks. Then he takes this and he puts it on his blog. But this being the 1590s, that just means taking the parchment and sticking it to a church door. And people walk past and they read that and they're outraged! Comments start being posted underneath like, "Oh my fucking god, he what? I stopped watching Shakespeare's plays after the Merchant of Venice, there was too much product placement. R.I.P. Falstaff, my hero, with 15 pictures of playing hands." Over here there's some wanker writing a massive essay about exactly when Shakespeare started to suck, and exactly how he would write a better play, and that essay gets buried under an avalanche of bile. Shame on Shakespeare! Off with his head! Then over here someone goes, "Hang on a minute, off with his head is a phrase invented by Shakespeare, and that guy gets bullied off the door!" Meanwhile, some guy over here writes, "I quite liked it," and the people on the church door block him. Which, in Elizabethan times, meant getting his head, putting it on a block, and chopping it off. The audience Rotten Tomato score for the play is 100%. Because the audience threw 100% of the Rotten Tomatoes at the actors. Finally, Shakespeare's Theatre released a statement on the church door like, "We want to thank our fans for their continued support, and we're sorry for Falstaff's sad end. We love them as much as you do." And the comments underneath this are like, #justice for Falstaff and #release the Falstaff cut. Death threats are being sent to the producers, people writing, "Go die in a hole." And then one of the producers gets the plague and he literally dies in a hole. And this goes on for a few years until finally, Shakespeare bursts into the offices of the Globe Theatre with a way to fix everything. He's like, Phil, I've got it. And Phil's like, "You've got a plague, get off me, Will." And he's like, "I've got a plague. I've got a solution to the Falstaff problem. We make a prequel." And Phil's like, "Will, it's a brilliant idea. What's it called?" "Well, it's called The Merry Wives of Windsor." "Okay, what happens?" "Well, it's about Falstaff trying to bang these two married women using every trick in the book." "All right, Will, I'm interested. What happens next?" "Well, we really keep outwitting him, and it's full of hijinks and romance and music and dancing." "Will, I love you, man. You're a genius. You've saved us. That's everything people want to see in a Falstaff prequel. But you've got to tell me, Will, what happens at the end?" "At the end, Phil?" "At the end, Will. At the end, Phil. Falstaff fucks an otter." Thank you very much, audience. To the last thing of the evening. Right. So, this next game is called Timelord. It is going to involve all of our improvisers. And how it's going to work is you lot are going to give me a prompt. It can be it's just a word, one word. From that word, these guys are going to produce a improvised narrative based on that word, and I will be in the background directing any possible time jumps. So if someone mentions, "Oh, remember that time you fell into the hole?" I can go flashback to the hole, and people will fall into holes, and it's something along those lines. So I heard a ooh there when I said the mic. Right, so can I have a prompt? Just a word, any word.
Flashlight.
Flashlight. What was that? Manslaughter. Oh, that's a good one. Any classes on manslaughter? Newcastle. Anything else? Camembert. Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Polar bears.
Polar bears. That's good, but it's too words. Right. We will go with, do you know what? Sorry, polar bears. Let's do polar bears. Right. Is that a good prompt?
Your choice.
Oh, okay. Come on. Fuck you with polar bears. Off we go.
Come on, guys, we're going on a polar bear hunt. We're not scared. Oh, is that one? Could be. Could also be a toddler dressed in a fluffy onesie.
Aww, should we go find out?
Wilbur! Oh, there you are. Come here. Come on. What have I told you about playing outside this late?
Don't do it because it annoys you.
It annoys me. You know what happens when I get annoyed? Actually, don't say that, Mum.
Polar bears?
Oh, this isn't a polar bear.
Okay, sorry.
Easy happens. Once they reintroduce them, they're everywhere.
Oh, yeah. It is unusual to find giant white bears just north of Kent. But, you know, I've had Wilbur here for long enough that people recognise him in the area, you know.
Yeah. Well, we'll just,
Yeah, okay, thank you. Can I see your filming licenses, by the way?
I haven't filmed any. It's called binoculars. Wait, those cost me 50 quid, mate.
Yeah, look at that. Things get bigger.
It's alright.
Well, there you go. I thought that won't be a problem.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Bye.
Right, let's go home, come on. Fast forward to home. Okay, let's get dinner on. What were you doing out anyway?
I've already made dinner.
Ah,
Yes.
hello darling.
No problem.
Yeah.
It's Polar Bear, by the way.
I hated improv.
I'm sorry. We're running out of money, okay? I've been fired from my job and there's only polar bears in the local area at the moment.
You can't move for them, Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. So it's polar bear again, it's polar bear tomorrow, it's polar bear the next day, then it's sausages, then it's polar bear the next day, and the next day after that.
I don't want polar bear.
Go out your onesie off, son.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be caught by someone who has the same idea as me.
Yeah. All too many of them.
Lots.
Flash forward to getting caught by someone who's... What else just
And here we see Polar. He's having a lovely time.
He stood up!
God, that's so good. Hot. You do it. I can't do it. Not remember the environmental centre here.
Wait. Standing. Real person.
Oh, for fuck's sake, where's the polar bear? We've been looking for weeks.
I don't know. Just like pretend.
You're gonna get yourself killed, boy. Stop pretending to be a polar bear.
Do you know where the polar bears actually are? We've looked everywhere. Do you know how many long grasses we want?
Mom, sorry, I can't help you. All polar bears.
We were told there were tons. So many people are eating them. Where did they go?
There were so many introduced, and now there's like 3 in existence. We just can't find them.
Flash back to what happened to the polar bears.
Oh my goodness. Oh me, oh my. Oh no.
Right, calm down, Larry, calm down, stop.
We've lost the polar bears.
You lost the fucking polar bears?
Yes, they were right there a few weeks ago, and now they're gone.
Larry, they are 11-foot carnivores, you don't just lose them.
Well, I'll tell you what happened, okay?
Yeah, tell me what happened.
I went home from work 3 weeks ago.
You said that 3-week holiday. So
I did, yes. And I didn't lock up because I couldn't be bothered. And now I come back, and they're gone!
Do you know what pisses me off?
What?
You're the supervisor!
Oh!
How did you get that promotion? Right, okay.
Flash back to how he got the promotion.
It's going to be me, I think it's going to be
May
me.
the best man win.
I'm posher.
Hi, Janice.
Hi, I've got news from the boss.
Oh.
Alright? They wanted someone who is competent,
Oh dear. Oh goody.
well dressed,
Oh dear.
Right, you there.
but most importantly, was educated at Eton.
Yes! Oh, thank goodness!
Okay, please don't touch me, that's all.
Back to the present.
What did you do?
Right, tell me what you told me.
Oh, well, okay, so there were some polar bears, quite a lot of them, about 50, and...
I know, but they were behind bars.
Well,
Let's use bars.
Fancy bar, and it was behind that one.
Bars.
they're not behind the... Ow!
Sorry.
Thank you. They're not behind the bars anymore. I'm sorry to hear that. You may be entitled to compensation.
Well, it wasn't my fault.
It wasn't my fault.
Yes, it was.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but the boss has heard there might be something going on with the polar bear.
Music!
Right, okay, it was not me.
It was.
Well, it was probably him because he's from Eton.
Right, I didn't want to have to do this. It was that kid from next door.
I knew it!
He broke in and unlocked the cage.
You let the kid from next door in.
Larry did.
I'm a big pin.
Right,
He's
the
posh.
kid is connected beyond belief. His dad is a janitor, his mum is Larry's
I don't
identical
take it. It's
twin
just great on as a paramedic.
No, it's Red Lantern. Crazy cat lady. Right, so that's who we need to get in and question about. It's the kid
Yes.
from next door.
Get into play for your new leg!
Flash forward to questioning the kid from next door.
Okay, I'm not really a lawyer, but I don't really know what I'm doing here.
You sick bastard. Look at
How could you
Sneeze. Okay. Well, you're not going to get in trouble.
No, you absolutely fucking are my leg! What happened with the polar bears? Why did you make him forget the key to lock up?
Yes.
I just wanted to play with the key because it was shiny.
It was shiny.
Yes.
Well,
Someone's not posh, are they?
Where are you from, Gallus, exactly?
There and thereabouts.
But posh enough, clearly. Okay, right.
Not as posh as me.
So, we'll look at the key. He made you. Yes, bastard change.
Screw you! I'm sorry, but why were the polar bears even there in the first place?
We're reintroducing them to Kate to control the
It's
population.
very important work!
Oh, well, it's not quite controlled the population, is
I
it?
mean, you'll bleed out eventually. But here's the thing. The major thing is, where are they now?
Flash forward to hunting the polar bears.
Not quite sure what a broom's going to do. Oh, that's useful. Right. Okay, right.
I wanted that.
Fine. Actually, no, I don't trust you. Are you a kid in a onesie?
No.
I'm warning you, I will do something with this.
We can talk this out.
How will you have over there? Okay, right.
It's a common misconception. Polar bears can talk.
How did this not come up in all the market research?
I knew that the whole time.
Teach about at Eton. Right. Truce. Did you eat her leg?
Her leg.
My leg!
No, she doesn't look familiar.
Well, do you know who did it? Hello.
You're the one!
Don't worry, just talk to her, you know.
Oh, let her talk, right?
I can.
Yeah, go ahead. That's the Timelord, bringing us to the end of the evening. So, good news, you're free. So yes, well, thank you very much for coming along. Thank you to everyone who donated. We're all very grateful for that. Hope you all had a good evening. So yes, I've been Iestyn. We've been the Lancaster Comedy Institute. You've been a wonderful crowd, and have a safe journey home. So thank you.